Hi guys, it's Jaden. Welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm starting a brand new series on my channel where I go and talk about different experiences that I've had that has to do with the challenges of my health crash recovery from adrenal fatigue, anxiety, HPA axis dysfunction, and just the overall burnout, as well as my struggles I've had throughout my life since I was a very young teenager, or actually younger than that. I think started around, when I was around 12. I had OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, and I had major anxiety and health anxiety along with it. So I just thought that it's, for me, throughout my life, I've always felt that it was very helpful when I would meet someone who I was inspired by and that they gone through some similar challenges as I have, but they've gone through it, and it was always very relaxing and confidence building when I would hear their stories of what they did to get through it. Because as humans, I think we all kind of relate in a way where, if you see somebody that you inspired by where they're at now, and you find out that they've gone through what you're struggling with now and they've overcame it and they're successful, it brings like a sense of relief, also a sense of motivation, and knowing that you will also be able to come through this. So that was why I wanted to start this new series and share these stories. I also just think it's funny for me to now look back in my past on my struggles that I've overcame, and now I find a lot of humor in them because, I was able to kind of understood how to navigate myself through it. And whereas in the past I would be just miserable and struggling, but now I could see it as something like humorous. So anyways, we'll jump right into the first one today, and that has to do with my OCD and anxiety. So OCD is something that can affect, people very differently. Like, it has a broad area of how it affects, different people. Some people have things with germs. Some people have things with like cleanliness, organization, rituals, thought process, and so it affects everyone differently. But pretty much it's like you get obsessed with things that you have to repeatedly do, certain rituals or certain patterns that you have to repeat to, and it all has to do with, again, anxiety, because OCD is you have OCD because you're under stress, and you have anxiety to a degree to where it causes like an imbalance. And so, sorry, helicopter. So you do these certain like rituals, not meaning like candles and a seance or something like that. I mean, like, it's different for everyone, but your brain creates these certain patterns of way to do things to relieve yourself from anxiety, because the OCD is triggered by anxiety. So it's just like our amazing body's natural way of trying to sort itself out. So, and, until you like rebalance that imbalance in your brain with OCD, whether it's through like therapy or like, balancing hormones and peptides, and I think they say like amino acids in your brain, it's a challenge because we just perceive certain things a different way. For instance, people who are obsessed, like they have OCD with their doors being locked, so they constantly go back and check and check and check, and that's because when they lock the door, our brains perceive that different than, like, let's say someone without OCD, because the chemical messengers will send a signal to yourself that, okay, the door is locked, and then you move on. Well, if you are struggling with OCD, the signal isn't quite like there. So you lock the door, you know the door's locked, but you walk away, but you feel like something's wrong, like the door might not be locked. So even though consciously and rationally you lock the door, but you're gonna go back and check. And there's a loop with OCD. So it's like you go back and check and okay, it's locked, you walk away, the signal's not quite the same, so then you question yourself again. So that's why it's like again and again you do the same thing. So this can be very like odd and weird to people who don't struggle with this and don't understand it, because all they're seeing is somebody who keeps going back and locking the door. They like, people think you're crazy or insane or whatever. But you're not. It's just it's just an imbalance of chemicals and how it manifests in you. Like I said, it's different for everyone. Like I tend to have OCDs with like germs, cleanliness, organization mostly, and also like how I feel about certain things. So it took years and years of practice, therapy, and just really working on myself overall to be able to manage and kind of overcome a lot of it. I was very lucky. I had a very, I guess you can call like strong will. I did what I knew I had to do to rebalance myself, and I was very diligent and committed to doing that throughout my whole life. So I was able to be like highly functional with it, and some people just can't even function because it just overwhelms you, just same as the anxiety and the adrenal fatigue stuff. It really overwhelms you. So so the story I have today has to do with my OCD and anxiety, that has to do with picking things that are the same thing, but like there's many of them. Like here's an example. Like if I go to the grocery store and I see that there's like, if I'm wanting to buy like, let's say eggs, right? And there's like 50 dozens of eggs that look exactly the same. And my OCD will be like, well, which one are you going to pick? I mean, this one, do you pick the first one? But because the first one, more people might have touched it, so it's, there's more germs on it. So then you would think like, well, the natural thing is to not pick the first one and pick the ones in the back, right? But it is not that easy, because then the OCD is like, well, but what if that day somebody touched the one in the back more because they also don't want to touch the first one because they also think that. So it's just like, so back when it was really bad, like back in my early 20s, this was like a major thing. And I would just be like, oh fuck, I gotta go to the grocery store. That means there's gonna be multiple apples to pick from, multiple celeries to pick from, multiple eggs, and like I would burn like so much calories just stressing over this. I mean, like before I had this like health crash thing that I dealt with, I was always super, given that I worked out like a maniac my whole life, but I just like ate a lot, and like I just never had problems like being super lean. And I think it's because I burned so much calories just like dealing with OCD. So yeah, so this would be really funny. So the funny story is, one time it was really bad, and I had like a really bad trigger, and I remember it was oranges, and there was just a mountain of oranges that I'm just like, this one or this one, this one. And grocery stores, there's like people around you, and you're trying to not look weird because people judge. And I'm sitting there like, this one, and I've like dealt with this so much that I've come up with like these ways to kind of like mask myself so that like people would think that I was weird before like a real reason, right? Or like for like a normal reason. So I would like, sometimes if I'm like picking and I can't decide, I would just like say out loud like, wow, the oranges are just so great today, I just don't know which one to pick, or some shit like that, like, so that I would feel more like okay, that like, like this guy's here like picking oranges for like 20 minutes, like what the hell. And guys, if you have this and you're struggling with this, come on guys, it's funny. Like, I know it's, I don't mean to take the severity away from your struggles. But, when you really step back, don't give yourself so much like hard time because you're struggling with something. Because, the truth is, we're all humans. We're all struggling with things, right? And there's so much unspoken secrets to everyone to themselves, that they think it's embarrassing or it's like the worst thing in the world. But like, everyone's going through something. So don't put that. I mean, I can say this easy now because took me a long time to understand and apply this. But, as soon as you just like stop judging yourself, same thing with like the adrenal and the health crash stuff. It's like, I know it's a struggle, but if the moment you could just accept it and just take it one step at a time and not like put a fire under your own ass every day so hard to like move forward and like heal this or like get over this, it's okay. And you can like feel, not stressed about it. So anyways, I'm there, like, and so this grocery person comes up and is like, oh, like, this is how you pick oranges. Because, clearly he thinks like I'm just having a hard time deciding between what is like a fresh orange, which I have no hard time doing. I know which one is fresh. It's just I'm struggling with. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, gotta go along with it, because I'm not gonna sit here and tell this random person that, what OCD is. So he comes and it's like, he's so helpful. He's like, you want to like, oh, and so I'm just like, okay. So he picks them for me and puts it in a bag, and it's like, no, like when you have OCD, that is the worst. Like for me, it's like, yeah, no, these aren't the oranges I'm gonna pick. So but then, I was like, thank you. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to walk away now, because from his perspective, I got my oranges. I should just get the hell out of here with my oranges. So I was like, okay. So I like go on and I do my other grocery shopping, which was also a challenge, but none of it was as challenging as the oranges that day. For some reason, my OCD had its heart set on the oranges, and I just could not make my mind on which oranges to pick. I had like minor struggles with like the soy milk I was getting or whatever, but like I got everything done fairly fast compared to the oranges. So I'm like, still got the oranges that he put for me, which in my head I'm like, gotta get rid of these now. They are not part of my picks. They are not Jaden OCD certified. They're not the oranges I'm gonna get. And you would think like, well, why don't you just not get oranges? Well, I have a strong personality. I want to get what I want. I came to the store and I need oranges. So I'm like just like hiding out like at the corner of the store, like just waiting for him to like get out of the area so he doesn't like judge me for putting the oranges back, or come and like ask me, why am I putting these oranges back after he worked so hard to help me pick them? So he never left the area, and I'm like, I have to put these oranges back. So I go and I just like try to be very like conspicuous and put the oranges back, and I quickly picked a few that was like not what I would pick in that, but I just had to do something. So I picked a few. Good thing he didn't see me, and I left the store. I paid and left the store, and I'm thinking, okay, like I got everything done. I got my oranges. Maybe it was a good thing that I had to like rush and pick them at the end, because that kind of override the need, the OCD. Because with OCD, sometimes like, not sometimes, but when it comes to like urgency or life and death, you can just like stop doing it. And that's why that's such a cool thing to realize too, is that like you're not insane, because it's like you can stop anytime. You literally, like, I could stop these rituals anytime I want. It's just like a feeling thing. And if you don't have it, it's hard to understand, but you have it, you struggle with it, you know what I'm talking about. So, and feel free to comment on this as well, to share your stories. My channel is evolving into more and more like just overall optimizing yourself, your health, your mental state and a state of well-being, and I'm kind of using my channel for that, so it's going to expand however it does, and this is what I'm inspired to do next. So yeah, so I'm driving home thinking, okay, this is done, and I'm like, got my oranges, so I get home, and I could just sense like, okay, this OCD is not going away. I'm thinking, those aren't the oranges I picked. They're not, they don't feel right. So, of course, after I put all the groceries away, and after all that insanity, I trashed the oranges because they didn't feel right. Like, I know, like, some of you are like, what the hell? Like, that's such a waste of time and food and stuff. But I couldn't, like, it would be so hard for me to eat them at that point in my life. And this is like me struggling with, like, I think my OCD started when I was like 12, and it really got bad in my late teens and throughout my early 20s. It was probably around like 25 when I got like really good handle on it, and I'm like cut. Like, I don't struggle with any of that much now. I mean, yes, I still do with certain things, but they're totally managed, and it doesn't, like, I've achieved quite a bit from having them. But then, that was like, early 20s, you're just creating your life and you're going after your career. So there's that whole thing. And then, so it was not easy. So I threw the oranges away. I probably wouldn't do something as extreme as that now, even if I had those triggers, which I don't much anymore with that particular type of OCD. But it's just something funny. I looked back like, wow, I was taking care of myself, going to school and trying to pursue my acting career, in this big city. And I was dealing with that in my personal life, and I was able to like go through it, and I had to like pick all these oranges, and that brought all this anxiety and stress, and I like went through it. So if you have stories like this, I love it if you share them with me in the comments. Because as we all know, everything kind of goes back to stress and anxiety, which is what caused me to have my health crash and all that. And so this is similar kind of family type of thing. It's like all stems from like stress and anxiety and overworking and overdoing. So yeah, if you have any comments or questions, I don't know if you have questions, but if you do, post them in my comments. Please subscribe to my channel if you like this sorts of thing, where it's very health, fitness, and well-being based channel. I know I haven't done that much fitness things because I started the channel when I was coming back from my health crash, but I am really looking forward to when I optimize myself to the point where I'm going above and beyond what I used to do, fitness-wise, and I could have more of that to share. And I will continue to do this series along with the series also I'm doing, which is the 5 phase of health recovery in detail, which I've done 4 out of 5. I've just 1 more to do on that. So check those videos out if you like this video, and share and like my videos to help me grow my channel. And what else? These are like all the things you gotta cover as a YouTube person, because I guess it's just a thing. Everybody does it, so I'm doing it. I'm being a cattle, being a sheep, following everybody's thing today, or not today, but with this. And yeah, what is it? Oh, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning here, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I'm shooting on my phone today, and I forget that I shouldn't look at myself because I think I'm so awesome. I should look at the camera. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good rest of the week, and I'll see you guys all on the next video. Bye.